Corey, dude, we're jumping into something I've been looking forward to for a very long time since it was announced. I saw gameplay, I kept my eye on it, I've been following it heavily. I'm in the Reddit forums. Dude, like, I'm all in until I started playing. Talking about Dragon's Dogma 2, and this is where things fell apart for me. I couldn't believe it. I have never been so bored playing a game that I've been so hyped for. I'm having a hard time scoring it because I think there's something there, but you have to be hours upon hour, like 80 to 100 hours in before you actually get the justification of where this game can go. So for me, I'm coming 6.5. Where are you?
You know what? I'm right there with you, Drew. I'm actually a 6.5. I was thinking about it. Man, this game's got some solid bones to it. It's been 12 years since the release of the first one. Fans have been waiting for this for a while. And if you're a fan of this series, I think you're going to find a lot of things in this game that you're really going to enjoy because a lot of it is the same. This is an action RPG that feels kind of old, Drew. I mean, as updated and as amazing as this game can look at times, especially the environment. We spend a lot of time out on this map. It is big, very sprawling, and I can appreciate how this game looks, especially, when it comes down to the character design and the character creation at the beginning of the game. There is a ton of options here. You can spend hours in just the character creation alone. And if that's any sort of foreshadowing, is you spend a lot of time in this game, Drew. And really, to get the payoff, like you said, you have to spend a ton of time here. And it can be difficult at times to get into this one, especially if you don't really know what the heck is going on. We are being let in with a fairly soft story overall, and it's kind of hard to understand what exactly is happening. And when we go from quest to quest, there are a lot of side quests, a lot of fetch quest style things. Everything seems to be where there isn't a ton of variety as far as what the quests are, especially early on. You get into some different stuff as you get a little bit deeper into this one, but again, we're talking, tens and tens of hours in, we're 20, 30 hours, and you're still dealing with some of the early game stuff. Fast travel is an issue. You don't get that very early on, or you have the option to do it early on, but it does cost a currency, and you don't have a lot of that to start with, man. So this game's got me so torn. I think our scores really do fall into where we feel like this game needs to be. There's a lot of really good things, but man, there's a lot of things holding this one back.
It was interesting. So for me, when I first started, dude, I actually rolled a new character because I did not like the character I had going with because of the combat. I've never felt so obtuse to get into a combat situation and have to restart the game so I can find somebody else to then go into. Now, granted, I didn't completely restart. You can go in your vocation, you can change. So all of a sudden now I just specialize in a different area. So I was going with the ranger, which I often do with a lot of games. That's my play style, right? So I'm in there and I'm going, this feels awkward, like completely awkward to me. And it just, even to go and remap things wasn't gonna work out. So I flipped over, I went to a mage. I'm having more fun. But dude, the combat is such a struggle until you grind and grind and grind it out more. You're not going to get the justification of the combat, I think, until you're, again, 80 hours deep. Can you stick with that? That's the problem. Dude, we play a lot of games. And it's not just us, right? Yeah, this is what we do. But at the same time, if you're a gamer who are looking to pick this up and you get 3 hours in, you're like, man, this doesn't feel good to me. 3 hours in, I want to be hooked. I want to be going, man, if I put my controller down, I want to be thinking about this game. When can I get back to it? Dude, I put the controller down and thought, what else can I play? Right? And that sucks because that's why I said I followed it right from the beginning of the announcement, right into the trailers, joined the Reddit forums. Like, I was all in. I still get posts that I'm following and going, man, all these moments are like they look magical to me. And granted, there definitely are moments. I remember coming around, I've got my pawns, which again, I think maybe if there would have been an opportunity to bring in co-op, I think that would have been really, really cool.
This
but again,
single player experience is it's limiting. I'm not saying it's the reason that this game is going to be a hit or a miss for some people, but it's something that you feel like should have been implemented.
Dude, going out in the world, sick. Like, absolutely.
It looks
cool.
so good.
I'm going around and all of a sudden the shadow of a griffin goes over top of me. I was like, this is incredible. Come around a corner, I ran into a dragon. I'm like, I'm out of here.
Yeah, let's get out of here.
But there's definitely a ton of moments like that just, I felt like Far Cry 2. Because when I went from point A to point B, I could never make it to point B without running into something that's going to try and kill me. And I feel that's how it is here. And it really kind of drags out my experience because at the end of the day, dude, I just want to get to point B.
I shall serve you as your loyal pawn, and aught I learn beyond the rift will be at your disposal.
Like we said, the fast travel, it does play a factor, especially early on when you don't really have the ability to do it as much as you want. You haven't visited as many POIs. You don't have the currency to be able to buy the things required for you to be able to fast travel. So you do end up spending a lot of time walking or running from point A to point B. And like you said, you're running into all different kinds of enemies along the way, which at the same time is cool, but can be very frustrating because this game, combat-wise, depending on which vocation you choose, like you said, you can switch it up, which is really nice, especially on the fly. So you're not really, cemented into that one class. If you don't really like it, switch it out, try something else, especially early on in the game where you are fairly basic with all your abilities throughout all the vocations, which I thought was really nice. I started off as the ranger as well. Didn't enjoy it as much as I thought I was going to be, so I switched over to the thief, which I found the combat for the thief to be significantly easier, felt a lot more smooth, where with the ranger it felt disjointed, somewhat clunky. The movement in this game as a whole, Drew, is kind of clunky. I find as you get certain abilities, depending on which vocation you've chosen, it smooths out a little bit, I will say. Depending on what you're doing, it can smooth out for certain combat. Like, I like the fact that depending on what you're fighting, especially if it's like a big monster, as a thief, I can climb up on top of that thing, target certain points of it. It's a really awesome experience. But then, that encounter ends, and then I'm running for a half an hour to my next location. And it's just, there's so many things this game is kind of holding. It holds you back a little bit. There's a ton of mechanics here that work really well. Like you said, the pawns, we get to call in and build your team as you want to build it, but at the same time, they kind of do their own thing sometimes. I found it somewhat hard to control what they do because you have the ability to kind of give them commands. So there's just a whole lot of systems at play in this game that you need to spend the time to get the payoff out.
You have my gratitude, sir. 'Twould seem I misjudged you. I had taken you for another false arisen, yet the value you showed in coming to our aid is dispelled. Give it to one of the sentinels stationed at...